Okay, good morning, everyone. I think we can start this webinar on scaling up circular and sustainable procurement through interregional collaboration. My name is Nuria and I work at ACR Plus, the Association of Cities and Regions for Sustainable Resource Management, and I will be the moderator of this event. This event is co-organized by CIPRON and the Urban Agenda Partnership on Innovative and Responsible Public Procurement. The session aims to demonstrate the value of collaborating and learning and how by working together and exchanging experiences across regions and cities, we can accelerate progress and scale up successful approaches more effectively. So during this session, we will explore opportunities for collaboration and synergies among projects, unlocking how peer-to-peer exchange and interregional partnerships can accelerate the adoption of circular procurement practices. So few housekeeping rules before starting. We will ask one question after each project presentation, and the remaining ones will be addressed in the end, so during the Q&A. And you can write the questions in the chat. And for your information, this event is being recorded. So now we will present the agenda. So we start with an introduction, and then we'll have a presentation of the network. So we have the Urban Agenda Partnership on Innovative and Responsible Public Procurement that will be presented by Valentina Schippers from the City of Haarlem. Then we'll have the presentation of CIPRON that will be presented by Johan Prummel from Rijkswaterstaat. And then we will move to the three funded projects, which are Circular Shift on scaling up circular procurement pilots, presented by Johan Prummel from Rijkswaterstaat. Then CISUTAC on green public procurement opportunities and challenges, presented by Ekaterina Stoyanova from Euratex. And then we will have the CPRINS project on matching demand and supply for enhancing circular economy policies and practices, will be presented by Serena Mancini from Liguria. And then, as mentioned, we will have 10 minutes for panel discussion and a Q&A session, and finally, a closing remarks. So just before starting with the presentations, I would like to take a moment to engage with everyone. So I would like to ask you to please put your thumb up if you agree that stronger collaboration between different types of organizations, including public authorities, private companies, research institutions, is key to achieve wider adoption of circular procurement practices. So if you agree on this statement, please put your thumbs up. Okay, I see few thumbs up. Very good. Very good. And then a second question. Do you agree that stronger collaboration between different projects and initiatives is essential to accelerating the adoption of circular procurement practices? If you agree on this, please put your thumbs up. Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah, so collaboration is really at the heart of what we will be discussing today. So now, without further ado, I would like to give the floor to Valentina, with the first presentation on the urban agenda. So the floor is yours.
Thank you so much for your introduction. I will share my screen in a second. First of all, thank you so much for joining our webinar today. Very happy to have you on board, and also happy to see that you agree that collaboration is the key. My name is Valentina Schippers, and next to Urban Agenda Partnership Coordination, I'm also chair of Eurocities Working Group and be Bisocial EU Ambassador. Today, I would like to say a few words about the Urban Agenda Partnership. We are very lucky also have representatives from CIPRON, from ACR Plus, and for Rijkswaterstaat in our partnership. It's a network of European cities, region, member states, provinces, expert organization, European networks, and European Commission. And we all focus on innovative, sustainable, circular, gender equal, climate adaptive public procurement. Just to say a few words more, how could you benefit from that collaboration? You can easily become a community member. I will put a link in the chat. By only putting in your email, you will receive once a month activities, tools, interesting events on circular procurement and other interesting topics on procurement. And you can also use for free the e-learning module. You didn't even need to subscribe or to register. I will also put the link in the chat in a few minutes. And in this e-learning module, we have in particular a part module on circular procurement. Different interesting materials are included, partly delivered by Rijkswaterstaat, Dutch Ministry of Water Management and Infrastructure, and partly from Metropolis Region of Amsterdam roadmap how to come to circular procurement. There are also different interesting ready-to-use materials that could help you to set up circular procurement or improve it in your organization. This is for now my story, and as I said, I will put a few links in the chat. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Valentina. Thank you for the introduction of the urban agenda. Thanks. And if you have any question, please write it in the chat, and we will do our best to answer it. So now, Johan, if you want to introduce CIPRON.
Yes, I will. CIPRON is abbreviation of Circular Procurement Network, but it also means chaperone. And the reason that we developed it together with Asia Plus is that there's always one big question when you want to start or engage in circular procurement in a project. You need to find a way to know what has been done already, where to catch up, and you want to know who's working on that at the moment. So we set up the Circular Procurement Network, CIPRON, more or less as a one-stop shop. We want one place on the internet where you can actually find each other and find existing initiatives, but also find what has been done already. It's coming from the ProCirc project, which ended, I think, 2 years ago now. The aim is to connect networks, initiatives, projects, but within that, the people who are working on it, so that if you have any question on what has been done or where to find tools or whatever, CIPRON should be the platform where you can find the answers. Maybe not on the network, on the website, but then you'll find people who know and can help you further. That's the chaperone part of it. We hope to develop CIPRON further it's a self-contained entity. We want it to be more than an initiative of Asia Plus and Rijkswaterstaat. It needs to be a platform of all of us where we share, where we can find existing information, and where we can meet and find partners for future projects, but also connect to the people who are doing something similar as you are doing or planning to do. What we've set up, 3 objectives: facilitate the exchange, so that we are a network, we provide trainings, but also promote trainings of others. We'll help you connect and we'll be present at conferences to share all the good work that we are doing all together. Next to that, having a body of knowledge available, the good practices, the tools that we all develop, the sources where they come from, and also the connections to the people behind that. So you can always connect to somebody who's been working on a specific tool or project or whatever. And third aim, to provide policy insight, access sharing, discussing what's happening in our country, in our cities, in our regions, but also what's happening in Europe, what's coming from Brussels. How can we influence that? How can we give recommendations to the Commission to work on specific aspects of circular procurement? If you want to join, the easy way is to take your phone now and scan the QR code. You'll come in an online form and you'll be added to our mailing list. You receive latest news, and I'll have to check with Nuria, but I think we have a newsletter every so many months, and she'll provide you with the right number of months. But there's CPRON activities, but there's also what has been added to our website, etc. And you'll have access to our library, which is growing and growing. I had to look yesterday after a long holiday, and it's even bigger than before. So be part of it, upload your own information and projects, and connect to others who are working on similar topics and projects. That's all for me. Thank you. You're welcome at cpron.eu. But as I said, if you have scanned the QR code, then you will be part of our network, and you will receive information about circular procurement, what's happening at the moment, and how to connect to others that are working on the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Johan, for this presentation. We will. I see that Dominic put the link on the chat. Thanks so much. So now we will move to the EU-funded project part. So the first one is Circular Shift. Normally Amber should be presenting, but she is not able to join. So it will be Johan presenting the Circular Shift project. So Johan, I give you again the floor.
Yeah, there we go again. I think this is it. Yeah, one of the projects that we are currently working on is Circular Shift. And Circular Shift is set up to investigate, hopefully demonstrate how to scale up successful circular procurement pilots. So what I'll share with you in the coming 10-15 minutes is a bit about our project goal, the context, the aimed outputs and activities that we are doing. And well, it says Q&A, but we'll have a Q&A at the end of this session. And I was instructed to only answer one question after my presentation, so I'll do that. The starting point of our project. We are working for over 15 years on circular procurement, and 15 years ago it was quite difficult to actually set up a pilot with circular procurement. Nobody knew what it was. Management needed to have a lot more insurance about what it would deliver, and these were difficult choices to make. Nowadays, at least in the Netherlands, but I think all over Europe, circular economy is a big issue. We all want to work on that. So if you have a proposal for a circular procurement project, most of the time you'll get a yes and you're good to go with your pilot. But what we also seen in the last years that although we have a lot of pilots going on all over Europe, apparently it's difficult to, after a successful pilot, also implement the outcomes, also scale up in your own organization. So what we want with Circular Shift, and it's running in the Interreg Northwest Europe region, is to support procuring organizations to actually scale up, to find out why it's not happening, and to hopefully come with solutions to help you scale up after a successful procurement pilot. The three main aims are coming from our insights on what possible reasons there could be. And there can be way more reasons, but one of the reasons is to not scale up is the market is not ready. So we want to increase value chain collaboration coming from the procuring organization. Another reason why pilots don't scale up is that there's not enough internal commitment, which is strange because if you set up a pilot, most of the time the goal is, if it's successful, to implement it. That's why you started the pilot in the first place. Somehow that works differently with circular procurement pilots. So we need to find ways to ensure more and better internal commitments, maybe on the right places, to actually start using the circular products and services. So we actually scale up circular procurement. And the third reason why pilots don't scale up often is it's very difficult, or apparently difficult, to say what the real impact will be of your circular efforts. Circular procurement means change in your organizations, sometimes big, sometimes small, but a decision to do that should be made based on the impact that you want. The circularity leads to better climate, less biodiversity loss, less pollution, etc. So how to predict and then monitor the real impact of circular procurement. We work with basically two categories: phones and laptops considered as ICT hardware, and workwear. Reason is that we wanted to focus, not have the broad perspective of everything you procure, but focus on these two product groups to actually say something sensible about them. Challenges tackled: lack of cooperation within the whole value chain. As I said, the lack of internal commitment and the lack of comprehension evidencing the impact of circular procurement. So based on these three reasons, as said, there might be more, but we had to choose. It's still a big project with these three topics. We formulated three work packages corresponding to that. The first step that we set, we started this year. What are criteria used for identification of community of practice, and where can we find good practice? As often, any project will start with looking in what's happening already, what's available. Luckily, we have CPRO, so that helps a lot. But we need to know who is already collaborating with who within the partnership of our project. We're setting up working groups, trying to figure out how to engage in the cooperation with the value chain. So what's the role of a procuring organization to take that initiative? And the R ladder for pilots. We'll work with some pilots to actually test methodologies that we can develop for value chain collaboration, but also test methodologies how to come to better impact-based decisions. The main outputs, the methodology mentioned for procurers, this is what we want, right? So we just started, so this is what we aim for. The methodology for procurers, procuring organizations, to initiate value chain collaboration. How can you do that? We are already quite common with engaging with our suppliers, but if you want to close the loop around a product, you need more than just your supplier. You need their subcontractors, but you also need to look at the steps after your use of the product. Will there be a next user? Then how to engage them? Or should it be recycled, separated and recycled into valuable resources again? Then how to engage with that? Only in that type of collaboration, you'll set steps to closing loops. What we also want to deliver is training guidance for organizations to engage and commit the right people and people in the right positions to implement successful pilots. What we've seen is, like I said, a lot of pilots and not with implementation in the best. They often end with the conclusion, that worked quite well, let's do another pilot. There's nothing wrong with doing another pilot, but it's not the main aim of doing a pilot. If it's successful, then you actually should implement it, right? That's the reason to do that pilot. And from the third work package, we want to develop a decision-making framework based on the impact, potential impact of circularity in the products that you are buying, and use the same indicators from the framework to actually monitor the outcomes. So you'll be sure that we can predict this might be the impact on carbon emissions, but then after starting using this circular product, also actually measure and monitor if that's happening, because you need to be sure that it's not only beautiful in your contract, but you also need to make sure that it's actually happening. That's a very brief overview of our project. Like I said, Q&A was in this presentation, but we'll do that at the end of the session. But if I remember correctly, Nuria, there was one question to ask already.
Yes, thank you very much, Jon, for your presentation. I also would like to ask people in the audience, if you have any question, please write it in the chat. For now, I don't see any question, so I have prepared one for you, Jon. So you said that the project is built around three main aspects, so external collaboration, also internal commitment, and then this impact-based decisions. How do you deal or address other reasons for organizations not to scale up their pilots? And is there a connection to other projects that look in such aspects?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Like I said, we needed focus in our project. It's already big enough as it is. So we decided to focus on the three main reasons that we have seen over the last years for not scaling up. But there will be more reasons. Hopefully there's also people here or elsewhere that are working on these reasons and that are looking into that. Think of capacity or competences of your procurement people, or having a circular or sustainability advisor or manager in organization. There's a lot of reasons why things won't scale up. I hope that people who are working on that or have experience with that will join either CPRON or connect directly with us, because it's relevant, not for our project, but it is relevant for the whole better understanding of how to scale up circular procurement. I think, but that's personal, I think that any project that's working on something similar at the moment, or anybody that knows of projects that have been done and that are not already on the CPRON website, please connect to us. Again, it's not for our project because it needed the focus, but it is for the better and broader understanding on why pilots don't scale up in the first place, but secondly, more important, how to tackle that, how to find the reasons in your organization why it didn't scale up, and how to address that and actually make it happen, to make sure that it scales up. So we're very open to connect to anybody, because it's I think these are three important reasons, but not the only three, and maybe also not the most important. These are the three we'll tackle, and if we can work together with others, then we might have a broader package recommendation to others to make it work. Because in the end, if you want circular economy, circular procurement is part of that. But if you don't scale up your circular procurement pilots, you won't get to circular economy.
Perfect. Thank you, Jon. Thanks a lot. So now we will move to the presentation of CISUTAC. So Katarina, are you here with us? So Katarina will present green public procurement opportunities and challenges.
Sorry, Nuria, to interrupt.
Yes.
There is a question actually.
Okay.
There's a question for Johan, which is, are you using a standard carbon measurement tool? Johan, we cannot hear you. You're muted.
You're muted.
Yeah. There are lots of different tools to measure carbon emissions. It's maybe more difficult to measure biodiversity loss. Pollution can be measured. But what we learned, and that's why one of our partners, the Nijrode Business University, is looking into that. There's so many tools, measurement tools available, that what we want to do is somehow advise or recommend which tool to use when. Standard carbon emission measurement, if it works for everything, that would be great. But any product has their own value chain, supply chain, which emits. So what we want is either generic tools that work for everything, or if possible, specific tools that are looking into the specific aspects of the three product groups that we are working with, so the phones, laptops, and workwear. So yes, anything that's standard available will be part of the decision-making framework in the end, but it needs to be validated for these specific product groups, and hopefully can be validated to be used in other product groups as well. Is that an answer to the question? I hope. And the rest is for the Q&A later, I think.
I think so. I think maybe Philippa is muted. Maybe you can put your thumbs up if he answers to your questions. Otherwise, feel free to write. Yeah, it's good. Okay. Your question in the chat, and we will address them in the Q&A part. So now we move to the CISUTAC presentation from Ekaterina, who is a Senior Policy Officer in EURATEX. So the floor is yours. Thank you, Ekaterina, for being with us.
Thank you very much, and good morning to all. My name is Ekaterina Stoyanova, and as Nuria said, I'm a Senior Policy Officer at EURATEX. In the next few minutes, I will briefly present our project CISUTAC and the work that we are doing on green public procurement. Before going into that part, I would like to thank you very much for the invitation to participate in this webinar. It is a great pleasure to be here and to exchange and learn from peer projects. I agree with all the thumbs up at the beginning of this webinar that collaboration is indeed key to make this circular transition a success. The CISUTAC project is funded under the European Union's Horizon Europe program. Its main objective is to increase circularity and sustainability in textiles, in the textile and clothing sector in Europe. We cover a relevant part of the sector and we show how to close loops at product and material level. In particular, we work on developing three pilots to help close the loop. We work on a semi-automated workstation for repair and dismantling. We also work to enhance the sorting for reuse and recycling. And we also work specifically on fiber-to-fiber recycling for polyester and cotton. We also focus on products from three subsectors experiencing varying circularity bottlenecks. And here you see the three subsectors for fashion, workwear, and personal protective equipment, and active goods. You can see on the map that we have partners in quite some countries, and also coming from diverse background. We have partners active in technology and innovation, partners representing the industry, research and academia, public authorities, and social enterprises. We also have several associated members that are not on the map, but they cover also some additional countries in Europe. A few words about Eurotax and what we do, which is very much linked to the work that we do within Eurotax, within CISUTAC, apologies. We are the official EU level body that represents European textile and apparel manufacturers. Our full direct members are national associations, but we also have a partnership program with different companies, for example, brands, machine manufacturers, or certification bodies. And our main business is to participate in policy and lawmaking at the EU level. We also have some special initiatives that are linked to sustainability, for example, for microplastics and market surveillance, and we participate in EU-funded projects on sustainability, innovation, and skills. Within the CISUTAC project, as I said, we have quite some technical work that we do for the pilots to close the loop, but we also have other various tasks that focus, for example, on consumer awareness and broader stakeholder engagement. And this is specifically where we as Eurotax, given the focus of our work that we do on policy, are mostly engaged in. And when it comes to our broader stakeholder engagement strategy, we're developing a shared vision for circularity within the project itself, looking into various different elements of circularity for textiles, such as eco-design, waste reduction and prevention, waste management, also including, importantly, and linked to this webinar, green public procurement. We also work on creating knowledge materials and disseminating them within the project partners, but also with the broader stakeholders. We also work on different communication campaigns towards consumer on raising awareness about the sustainability impacts of the sector. And lastly, but certainly not least, as I said, we work on green public procurement, not only from a vision perspective, but also more from a practical side. We are working to develop public procurement guidelines for contracting authorities. These guidelines would aim to focus on product circularity and really deep dive into practical elements to help public procurers to procure more circular and sustainable products. And the first step in the development of these guidelines, we decided to develop special surveys to look into the challenges and the opportunities of green public procurement, both from a company's perspective and from the perspective of public authorities. Also within this task that we have, we looked to create synergies also with other EU-supported initiatives like CPRON and cooperate with other existing projects like the ones that participate in this webinar, Circular Shift and CPRINCE. When it comes to the surveys themselves, as I already briefly noted, our main goal was to collect feedback on the challenges and opportunities in public procurement for both companies and public authorities. The surveys ran between July and September this year, and we disseminated them not only within our CISUTAC community, which you already saw that it's quite diverse, but also we extended the surveys also to external stakeholders to be able to collect more input that will be valuable for us to really identify what the gaps are and make sure that we at the end have some practical guidelines that really address the right elements and provide the necessary support for public procurers. In the next few slides, I outlined some of the main results that we received so far from the surveys. And the first couple of slides will be focused on the company's perspective. So when it comes to this survey, we collected 16 responses. So 16 companies replied to our survey, being active in 7 European countries. As you can see on the slide, most of the companies that replied are large in size, and they're also active at the international level. We asked them what products they offer for public procurement, and most of them replied that they offer products around workwear, intermediate products such as fibers, yarns, or fabrics, personal protective equipment, and uniforms. And when we looked into the specific features that these companies offered, those were mainly recycled fibers and specific certifications or labels, organic or sustainably sourced raw materials, or production with reduced carbon footprint. Importantly, we asked them about the main barriers to develop and deliver products for public procurement, and we fished out 4 of the main such barriers that companies indicated. So you can see that the price pressure and low-cost competition scored the highest in the barriers that companies identified. Also limited demand from procurers for circular and sustainable products. They also identify existing technical barriers to fulfill, for example, criteria that is asked by public authorities. And a specific example that was given was recyclability of materials. And they also identified lack of clarity in the tender specifications. When it comes to the recommendations that companies had to improve the existing legal framework, so how can we boost the public procurement from a company perspective, and what are the gaps there and the opportunities that we can provide? Companies replied that an area for improvement is the monitoring of compliance and ensuring that there is fair competition from non-EU entities. They also indicated that there could be an improvement in the support of local production by prioritizing local suppliers. They also indicated that there should be prioritization of circular economy principles with mandatory circularity criteria. And they also indicated that when public authorities prepare their tenders and the specifications and the specific criteria, they should also look into the balance with economic visibility from companies to actually deliver those such products. And if we move to the perspective of contracting authorities, here you see a lot of similarities with what companies think. We collected a few less responses, so we collected 12 responses, but representing 7 European countries. And all of the authorities that replied to our survey already include green and circular criteria in their procurement. So when we looked into the products procured by these authorities, we saw very similar to, of course, what is offered by companies, again, workwear, uniforms, personal protective equipment, and interior textiles. And when we asked about the criteria that public authorities asked in their specifications, those focused around certifications and labels, chemical restrictions, durability of the products procured, and the incorporation of recycled contents. Also, an interesting fact is the second pie chart on the right. we looked into the use of life cycle tools to assess the environmental impacts across the value chain in the process of public procurement. And we saw that most of the public authorities do not currently do that. And the main reasons for that were the complexities, but also the complexities of applying these tools to textiles, but also the belief that they do not always correctly reflect the actual impacts. Of course, we also asked about the challenges in procuring more products and what recommendations the authorities could provide for improvement. And when it comes to the main challenges, public authorities identified the monitoring and verifying of the environmental impact of procured products. They also indicated some challenges in defining the awards criteria, as well as limited availability of circular solutions on the clothing market. And when it comes to the recommendations, again, very similar to companies, as I said earlier, public authorities want to prioritize circular economy principles with EU minimum mandatory criteria. They also seek to have more simplification and reduction of administrative burdens. Here we found this very interesting because usually the call for simplification and reduction of administrative burdens is also something that scores very high from a company perspective. But here we saw it higher from the public authorities in the ranking. So this is an important, interesting point in the responses that we collected. They also indicated that there should be some facilitation and clarification in the use of labels and how those are compared to each other. And also similarly to the responses from companies, we saw an indication that there should be some sort of like possibility to select local suppliers. And with this, I came to the end of the insights that I wanted to share with you. In the next steps for the development of our guidelines, we will build on these results from the survey, but also we look forward to continuing the exchange and the collaboration with other projects that are active in public procurement so that we can take lessons learned, exchange knowledge, and make sure that we fill existing gaps and do not duplicate work. So thanks again very much for the invitation to be here, and I will remain available for the next few minutes for any questions.
Thank you so much, Katarina, for the presentation. Very insightful, a lot of results to looking forward to know more. So yeah, I encourage the audience to write your questions for Katarina in the chat. In the meantime, I also have a question for you. So yeah, in view of this first work on green public procurement from the CISUTAC project, which support, technical or financial, do you think is needed to boost public authorities' capacity to procure more circular and sustainable products?
Thanks a lot for the question, Nuria. We actually inquired as part of the survey also about potential technical and financial support that contracting authorities consider necessary in the next steps. And within the responses that we collected, there was an indication that most benefit would come specifically from the technical training part for monitoring and verification of circular outcomes, also for market engagement and dialogue with suppliers, and for the legal aspects of green and circular procurement. So this is for the training and the technical knowledge. And when it comes to what funding needs contracting authorities have, we had mostly indications for developing hands-on tools for example, manuals or guidelines on how procedures can work and how public authorities can structure their work, and also for awareness raising actions to how best stakeholders can be engaged in the process. And also, interestingly, support for projects that foster circularity within the textile industry. So I think that these are very good indications that we have already that we can provide as recommendations as well as part of our practical guidelines to be developed.
Thank you very much, Katarina. So now we will move to the next presentation with the CIPRINS project. It's on matching demand and supply for enhancing circular economy policies and practice. So Serena Mancini from Liguria is here with us. So
Hello.
Give you the floor. Yeah.
Thank you. Hello. Thank you, Nuria. And also thank you from my side for the invitation to this webinar. I'm going to share my screen. You please tell me if you see it.
Yes.
Do you see it?
Yes.
Good?
Good. I don't know if it's in presentation.
Yes, I put it in
mode.
presentation
Okay,
mode.
okay,
This is
fine.
the...
Yeah, good. Okay.
Yeah. And so hello, everyone. My name is Serena Mancini. I work at Liguria Ricerche, which is an in-house company of Regione Liguria, and we support Regione in the implementation of technical activities and management of European projects. So I'm here representing CIPRINS project, which stands for Central Europe Green Procurement and Innovation Network for Circular Economy, and I'm here on behalf of Regione Liguria, who is the lead partner of the project. So CIPRINS is an Interreg Central Europe funded project. It started last year in June, and it will last until November next year. So we are like in the middle of the project. We are 10 partners coming from 7 Central European countries, among which Italy, Croatia, Hungary, Austria, Slovenia, Poland, and Germany. And our partners are mainly Chamber of Commerce or Regional Development Agency or Innovation Agency supporting private companies, but also partners being part of public administration. So our project is structured, organized in 3 main work packages, which I'm going to tell you in a moment. So as I was telling you, we are like in the middle of the project. I'm just back from a steering committee meeting in Dubrovnik. I came back yesterday, and so we are really entering into the hot phase of the project where we are going to implement practical action with stakeholders in the territories of the project countries. So CIPRINS aim to support the transition to circular economy in Central Europe by leveraging on the green public procurement. Because on one side, we aim to improve the companies' circularity, the level of circularity of companies. And on the other side, we also want to improve the public sector capacity to publish tenders that may include more circular principles into their tenders. So as you can see, we work both on the demand side with the public buyers, the contracting authorities. On the other side, we also work with the supply side, with the enterprises. We do not, unlike the CISUTAC project, we do not work on a specific product categories, but we focus our work and our activities on 4 main key economic sectors, which are key mostly for our partners and the countries of the project. And the key sectors are agri-food, manufacturing, construction, and tourism-related goods and services. CPRINS is born from a premises, which is the current situation on GPP legislation in Central Europe. GPP is it's an existing tool, as you all know, in Europe, but it is implemented very differently across the various European countries, but this is even more true in Central Europe, and there are different methods and degree of obligation among countries and regions. Usually, as you know, the European Commission provides voluntary GPP criteria on a set of products and service categories, and the European Commission also encourage all European countries to draw national action plans for the greening procurement, but they are not legally binding, but they are more for a political push to the process of implementing and raising awareness on the green public procurement. So as you can see here, this is like the current situation in the 7 countries of the project. Some of them has mandatory environmental criteria, some others have partly mandatory criteria and partly voluntary criteria on also different sets and number of products categories. So this is the premises that at the beginning of our project, in the first phase of our project, we wanted also to dig in, and so we carry out an initial assessment on the GPP status in Central Europe, and this was done through the circulation of a service, an anonymous service in the several countries. The service was developed by Sant'Anna of Pisa, which is our research and academic partner of the project. So basically, Sant'Anna developed a survey with a series of questions and these surveys were then circulated in the partners countries. Anonymously. So basically we got back results from surveys were developed both for the public sector and also for the private sector with, let's say, parallel question, but clearly different ones, pointing to different issues. And we got back more than 200 responses from public administration and nearly 400 responses from enterprises. Such surveys were also complemented by a qualitative assessment, and this was conducted through one-to-one interviews conducted by the partners in their territories with minimum 5 public administration and 5 enterprises. So results can be accessible by everyone. You can find them in our CPRINS website. But in a nutshell, the results highlighted that there's a significant disparity between enterprises and public administration exists and on how they perceive circular practices and also how they implement the circular practices. Also, this assessment highlighted that enterprises have higher propensity to adopt circular approaches than public administration that systemically incorporate circular criteria in their tenders. And enterprises mostly implement circular practices in the final stages of their product, of their process. So on the waste management phases, while they lag a little bit behind when it comes to the product design or when it comes to circular criteria in procurement. When public administration implements circular principles in their tender, they tend to do it mostly for IT devices, cleaning service, road and construction product categories, while low integration is observed in furniture, data centers, food and catering and services. We also notice that there are no significant differences in the level of circularity integration across countries and sectors, but most importantly, through this assessment made at regional level, we could identify 3 elements that are in common to the 7 countries of the project. And we call those elements barriers, drivers, and opportunities for the transition to the circular procurement. So they are summarized in these slides, and I found many points in common with what Ekaterina also already presented, because on the barriers we saw that there is a kind of alignment in between the public and the private sector when implementing the circularity. There is also limited knowledge and technical expertise. Procurement procedures are quite complex and rigid. There are lack of common standards across the regions, and also there are some financial constraints. As for the drivers of GPP adoption, these are economic, there could be economic benefits for the enterprises. There is also growing alignment through the transnational cooperation. There is a greater stakeholder engagement in these procurement processes, and there is openness, we observe some openness to innovate, to the innovation and towards sustainability. So what are the opportunities? What are the opportunities that our assessment identified for the collaboration? So we see that there are opportunities for capacity building initiatives and specialized trainings. Also the development of shared guidelines and best practices. That could be a better public-private partnership, and digital, also the creation of digital platform for procurement and communication. So these common elements in such different countries, in the 7 countries of the project, led us to the identification of 4 levels of action, both for the public administration and the private companies, so they can streamline and promote circular economy practices and bridge, and these are also action that can bridge the gap between the demand and the supply. And this is a very schematic way to present this action. You also find this schema on our website by looking into the documents that have already been published. So basically on the upper side of the schema, there are the actions for the enterprises, while on the lower side are the action for the administration. And for both parts, action are organized in 2 levels, in 2 internal dimensions, so more related to the inner structure of the organization, both public or private, while there are then 2 external dimensions that are more related to the interaction between the buyers and the suppliers within the value chain and the broader system. So how they interact with the external. So basically, this level of action led us to the definition of a transnational strategy for a scalable and structured approach to enhance the circular procurement practices. So you find this transnational strategy that has been adopted by all our partners, again, online on our website. We have identified 3 main strategic objectives, both for the public and for the private, and then more specific objective to delineate the roadmap, a practical roadmap for both for the public sector and the private sector. So the strategic objective are 3, as I said, and they are all validity both for the public and the private. And so the first one is to facilitate the growth of adoption of circular and sustainable practices. The second one is to contribute to the development of the procedures and criteria that can be shared across project regions, and then also promote the enhancement of skills and competencies of public and private stakeholders. So these objectives, as you can see, they come out from the barriers that we have identified and also the actions that I was mentioning before. Now, what are the specific objectives for the public sectors? First of all, enhancing the institutional awareness, also with and the capacity and cross-departmental coordination to integrate circular criteria. Then to adopt more consistent environmental and circular criteria, while also integrating new tools to facilitate the application of GPP. And finally, strengthen the capacity building program for the procurers to improve technical expertise and confidence in implementing GPP criteria. When on the private sector, the specific objective is to provide enterprises and support them in understanding and aligning their production process with the GPP criteria. Also promote an adaptation of these businesses to the requirements set out in tenders, and also integrate new standardized tool into business production process. And finally, for the private sector, the objective is to facilitate knowledge exchange and partnership between enterprises and public institutions to increase awareness and also technical capability. So the initial assessment and the transnational strategy are the milestone upon which we are now currently creating a practical, the practical action to carry out with the public and private stakeholders in each territory. And the transnational cooperation, so we are, as I said at the beginning, the countries are in very different situation, but the transnational cooperation in this project focus on a shared approach on planning, capacity building activity, like for instance, training session, exchange of experience for enhancing awareness, knowledge, and understanding. And so the approach is shared among partners and countries, but then they can, each of us can shape and tailor the activities based on the country-specific needs and the capacity in the public and the private sector. Then the cooperation has a joint development of an advanced set of circular criteria in the 4 economic sector we work on, and then we will test these upgraded criteria in real case tenders. And finally, we also have a shared approach to improve the enterprise's circularity and capability to better respond to public tenders. Now, this, what I'm telling you, it's it's the plan that we have, because as I said, we are just now entering into this practical phase. And so what we are going to do for the public sector, we are analyzing the circular criteria, the circular principle existing in the GPP criteria. Based on what exists, we will develop an upgraded set of criteria, and then we will test these criteria in real tenders. On the private sector, we will select companies in each country, and we will accompany them in a process of individual assessment and trying to increase their level of circularity. And finally, to develop a specific solution for the businesses to improve circularity. And so this is the plan for the next period. And the expected results of the project is to improve the circular economy policies and practices related to the public procurement, to spread a new vision on the GPP levels to accelerate the transition to circular economy, to strengthen the cooperation between public and private sector. We would like, the aim is to reduce the barriers that hinders the matching between the demand and the supply of products or services. And finally, we want to increase the capacity of public procurers on one side to include circular economy requirements, circular principle into public tenders. And on the other side, we want also to enhance the capacity of companies to respond to the circular principles in the public tenders. So maybe there will be another event, another webinar organized by CIPRON and ACR Plus, and there I will be happy to tell you how these practical activities were going on in the project. And yes, Sara Piana is the project manager of the project. She works at Regione Liguria, and you can reach either via the website or via email. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Serena. Thanks for your presentation. I see that we have one question in the chat from Birla. If the current situation on GPP in the different countries is published maybe on the project website. So the first
it is published and included into the transnational strategy document that everyone can find on the website. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And it is well delineated in there, but you also find the initial assessment document. So which is a more complete document where all of you can find more details on the situation in Central Europe based on what we got, clearly.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you. I encourage the audience also to write questions for Serena. Before moving to the Q&A, I also want to ask you one question. So on the upgrade of circular criteria, do you work at country level or you look at the EU level, and how this cooperation approach realized?
Yeah, so we are working on, we are starting from what exists at European level. So we are analyzing the European GPP voluntary criteria, but we are also working on the country, on the specific country situation, and we also and so we are now in the middle of the analysis. But yes, we are working on both the European GPP criteria and the national criteria to see what's the situation, what exists in terms of circular principles within the criteria, trying also to see if there is some parallelism in between of what the EU say says and what exists at the national level. And on practical term, once we delineate let's say, once we have a clear picture of the circular elements already existing in the GPP criteria, we want to trying to upgrade these criteria, meaning that we are going to develop 4 sets of upgraded criteria for the economic sector. So 1 set per each sector. This also means that the criteria that we are going to upgrade should hold validity for all countries, because we are not developing upgraded criteria per country, but per sector. So it's clear that we will have to take into account the different levels of capacity and the different situation per each country. But basically, the new set will try to meet the needs of all the countries participating in the project.
Okay, thank you very much. So now we will move to the Q&A panel discussion. Sorry, Ekaterina is not with us, unfortunately, anymore. She also wrote it in the chat, but Johan and Valentina are here with us. So maybe I see one question from Valentina in the chat. Sorry, from your experience, what are the main barriers to scaling up circular procurement methodologies across different economic sectors? So this, I understand it has been presented a bit both from Circular Shift and CPRINTS. I don't know if you want to add anything else on the topic of how projects aim to scale up circular procurement. So I don't know if maybe Serena, if you want to start.
Yeah, sure. Well, there is barriers. Well, first of all, we for the scaling up of our project, it could be scaled by both geographically, let's say, because the approach that we have developed can be also enlarged to include maybe other European countries, which we can do the same process of what we are doing right now, but it can be also enlarged to the economic sectors. So the approach can also be followed for the other sector, and not just the key one that we are focusing on. And for the question from Valentina, what are the main barriers to scaling up circular procurement across different economic sector? Well, that depends clearly on what exists in those in terms of GPP criteria in the other sectors, and that's why maybe the scaling up is needed of the approach of CPRINTS. I would say, I'm not sure if this is the answer to Valentina, but this is what I would answer.
Thank you, Serena. Do you want to add something on this, Johan, maybe?
I think the interesting question of Valentina is actually part of why Circular Shift was set up. And then we realized we needed to focus. My first idea about the project was to be broad and holistic, but that's impossible. Every sector has its own boundaries, difficulties, issues. So circular procurement of furniture, for instance, can be an example for circular procurement in building and construction, but it's not the same. So methodologies developed in a certain sector are not one-on-one applicable to other sectors. but definitely will provide lessons and will provide insights how to develop something like that. For instance, value chain collaboration in for phones and laptops might give insights how to initiate value chain collaboration in other sectors, but it's not the same. So I think it's important to keep that in mind. A lot of basic principles of circular economy obviously are more or less the same, but for each sector and within sectors for each product group, it might be different. So share a lot. That's why, well, the 3 projects presented here are somehow connected because they're all part of CPRO. I think it's important to keep on sharing these insights and to learn from the insights of the one project into the other. And another aspect to add here is that it also depends on your country. Although we have European regulations, there's a country-wise interpretations of these regulations and policies. And there's also something like how long is your country already working on circularity? In the Netherlands, it's going on for a long time. In Eastern European countries, that might be different. So there's other steps to take before you can broaden to all the sectors and copy all the methodologies to other sectors and other countries. And we need to just be aware of that. There's no right or wrong in this. It's just be aware of the differences and then see what fits best for you in your country, in your sector.
Thank you, Johan. This was also linked to one of the questions that I wanted to ask you, if Circular Shift is set up in the Interreg Northwest Europe region. Do you think that the outcomes of the project could be available for other regions, and if they are, if they would be applicable to other regions?
Well, this is going further on the previous question. I think we started this in Interreg Northwest Europe because that's the region where the Netherlands is in, so it's difficult to engage in other regions. But surely what we'll find in our region in circular procurement of phones and laptops and workwear is of interest for the other regions. And like I said, there are differences in how long are you working on circular procurement? How is your connection to the market? What's your local, regional, or national regulation on how to engage with that? Or what's the culture in that? That's also different. And from there, see how to use the outcomes of the one project in our region into other regions. But we're always glad to share. I am on the advisory board of CE Prints, so we create as much as we can opportunities to share these things and to make sure that what Interreg calls the transnational learning can actually be trans-regional between their regions. So yes, what we'll develop in Northwest Europe projects will be available and shared with the other regions to see how it works there. It might be different, but still maybe we'll have an 80% solution that can be adapted and then adopted in other regions. And that works vice versa. I hope.
Yeah, if I reply, absolutely, I absolutely agree, and we are also looking for synergies with projects, initiatives already there, and absolutely, I agree that we need more interconnection and dialogue across all the initiatives on these issues and topics.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe also a question for Valentina, with your experience on the urban agenda. What would be your key recommendation for maybe contracting authorities on how to best scale up, and also in terms of collaboration, how to strengthen this collaboration further and use it also for scaling up and the implementation of circular procurement. If you want to give your views on this.
Thank you very much for your interesting question, Nuria. I think that in order to scale up, you have to have a strong commitment from management and local, regional, national politicians. And I also think that while we are in the phase of a revision of the public procurement directives, it's also important that for the scale up, that the new directives will enable and stimulate this scale up even more than that the current ones are doing. I have also a question too, was wondering about the opinion of our participants. Do you think the directives should improve and encourage scaling up in circular procurement even more than the current directives do? If you agree, just put your thumbs up. No one is agreeing? Oh, yes, I see. It takes some time. Okay, only 3 of you. So if you are not agree, maybe you can share some thoughts in the chat. Why not? Okay, I see it just take a bit more time. If you have any remarks or thoughts, please let us know. I think we also have important thing to do in order to advocate for better directives, because this is the document we are going to work with in the upcoming years, so maybe decade. And I also think that the collaboration, the sharing of best practice, what Johan mentioned, for example, and Nuri as well. So this is the great thing. If you see what others are doing and how they can succeed, if you can learn from others' mistakes, then it makes that you can make good steps in scaling up of the circular initiatives.
Thank you, Valentina. Thanks so much for your answer. I see in the chat that there is a question. Yeah, for all from Sanne Van Kamp. How do you measure the success of a project? We would like to govern on real impact. Right now, we monitor the effort put in, such as criteria during procurement and contract management. So how to measure a success of a project? You want to answer this question? Any of you want to start?
I can start maybe, but it's there's 2 ways of being successful in a project, or at least 2. One is you always have your own goals and aims, what you want to find out and what you want to achieve with your project. For instance, for Circular Shift, we think it will be successful if we somehow develop a methodology for value chain collaboration, if we somehow develop a decision-making framework. But to be successful as a project, you can also bring that back to very strict project management, and that's what Interreg does and should do, because it's spending European money and they need to control that. And then a successful project is a project that delivers on all the promises they made in their original proposal, which is very black and white. And there could be a slight difference, because we might not, on aspects, have more or less deliverables on what we promised, but in the same time develop something that actually works. So then we'd feel it's successful, and Interreg would say, well, we need to have a discussion on that. But in the end, measuring the success of your project is just we want to demonstrate if we can find a way and how it works, and the only measurement then is actually demonstrating that. And for me, the biggest success would be not only deliver it in the project, but actually be able to share it and have a bigger uptake, broader uptake of whatever the outcomes of these three projects are, broader than the region and the partners in which they originally started. I think that would be the biggest takeaway for any project to be really successful.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with John, and yes, I also think that this dissemination to the wider stakeholders and the targets of the projects is fundamental to spread what has been achieved in a project and what can be also take as a example or a good practice that can be then carry on. I think, yeah.
I think.
May I also respond, sir?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, okay. Thank you very much, Sana, for your interesting question, because it triggers different things. If you think about success of the project, you often think about KPIs, and success could be that you delivered it in time, or you stayed within the budget, or your KPIs at the end are equal to the KPIs you predefined in advance. But it's, of course, not always, it's a kind of administrative success, maybe. So I think the real success is in the scaling up, in the more collaboration, in inspiring of other organizations to do the same way, to find more replicators for successful concepts or successful methodologies, successful collaboration, sharing examples. I think it's just a bit more than only the formal or more administrative measurements of their success. Does it make sense to you, Sana? You can respond.
I can respond now.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Valentina. I know that trying to make amends is very important. I'm just looking for how can you sell the success of a project by saying, oh, well, we had that much less circular whatever. I mean, I'm really trying to see how we can sell the project to others, for example, measured on the impact, the circular or sustainable impact. So not the efforts we're trying.
Any quick answer to this? I think go ahead.
Yeah, well, I totally agree, Sanne. I think that's one of the omissions, well, not omissions, it's just the phase of development of circular economy until now. We started with at least engaging people and organizations with circularity, and we realized that circularity is not a goal in itself. It contributes to climate change, to biodiversity, to pollution. And the next step is then actually how to measure that. And there's a lot going on in that area, but then bringing it back to procurement, how to measure the impact of procurement. That's exactly our third work package, because it's not non-existent, but we don't use it because it's scattered. It's for some sectors it's very easily available. In others it's not developed yet. So that's why we want to develop this impact-based decision-making framework that based on on measuring tools, we can predict the potential impact of our circular procurement and then use the same indicators to actually monitor if it's happening. Because, and I think it's in the chat is a question of Lisanne about the contract management phase. A lot of procurement activities is focusing on how to get things right in your contract, and that's really important to make that happen. But in the same time, a lot of the real impact of any product will derive by using it. And you need to measure and monitor that and see if you actually are creating the impact that you wanted, or any other impact. But you need to be more aware of this contract management phase, the use phase of a product, and of measuring and monitoring if you're actually achieving what you put in your contract. I'm not saying it's the easy part, but developing a contract based on circular procurement and the right criteria, etc., that's one step in the process. We tend to look at tendering as a three-step kind of circle. There's pre-tender and post-tender, which is equally important as the tender phase itself. And we need to be more aware of all the decisions being made before you tender, but then also all the impact you want to create after your tendering process in the use of the products. And that's not easy, but it's also not impossible.
Thank you, Johan, for this contribution. So now we are moving to the closing remarks. As we have seen from today's presentation, these projects hold great potential for replicability and scaling up. For instance, the CIPRINS project methodology currently applied to specific sectors could be adapted for other sectors and regions. And likewise, the CISUTAC report with recommendations for contracting authorities on procuring circular textiles provides insights that can support both circular shift and CIPRINS. Another important point of connection is scaling up. So all these projects are developing tools and training activities to strengthen skills and knowledge of contracting authority staff. So it's a crucial step to ensure circular and sustainable procurement that can take in practice. All projects address both sides of the procurement process. So the successful implementation of circular procurement requires bridging the gap between contracting authorities and the market. By considering both perspectives, contracting authorities gain a clear understanding of the market, but also economic operators are better supported to engage and participate in circular procurement opportunities. So finally, exchange among contracting authorities remains key to share challenges, learn from one another, and identify practical solutions together. So being part of networks such as the Urban Agenda or CIPRON provide access to collaboration, knowledge, and joint action. So let's seize this opportunity and build on the work already underway, strengthening connections and accelerating our effort towards circular and sustainable procurement across regions. So I want to thank you all the speakers, colleagues, and all of you to participate in this event. I hope you find it insightful, and I wish you all a good day. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.